Austin, I think you came in yesterday like, okay, Anton Harrison. I mean, shoot, it's almost like they've made the move putting Anton Harrison over at left tackle.
I mean, yeah, well, I just think, once again, we don't know the situation with Cole Van Lanen. And that's a story that's been, I feel like, kind of kept hush-hush. All we have to go off of is what we see on the sideline and what Liam Cohen tells us, right? And I understand that Liam Cohen operates in communication and being transparent. But this is one of those situations where, and you know how I feel about it. Like, I always say be transparent to everybody what's going on. This is one situation, though, where you might want to keep it a little more quieter, right? Because there may be some gamesmanship here. If you're Liam Cohen and you say, hey, Cole Van Lanen may not be ready for week 1, well, then Cleveland Browns see that, and it's like, okay, well, now we can start game planning for maybe Anton, So I understand why, at least from my standpoint, I really don't know what's going on with Cole Van Lanen. I don't know how long he's going to be out, truly, right? All we have to go off of what Liam Cohen says. And I said this yesterday. I do think that left tackle is Anton Harrison's position. So whether or not Cole Van Lanen comes back, in the preseason, whatever the case may be, I don't like trying to find silver linings with injuries, because when you lose a star, well, I'll say a star, when you lose a great player like Cole Van Lanen for an extended period of time, that's going to be an issue. But if anything good can come of it, maybe this will be the chance for Anton Harrison, who will be going into a contract year, to establish himself as that left tackle and have all the incentive in the world to make as much money as he wants to at that position.
Yeah, I just think it's pretty interesting for the fans catching up on this, at least from my point of view. Cross-training happens all the time in the NFL. And that's not a surprise. I mean, they did that last year. But I think there was a comment at one point in the spring that from Liam Cohen, and I think I heard this right, where Anton probably wouldn't move to the left side as much. Now, again, you had signed Cole Van Lanen. He had played left tackle last year. We all know he played it well. And then you also have Walker Little and Chuma Edoga, who could play there on the back to back those guys up. I guess my question for you, that's just a little bit of the background, if you're jumping in on the Anton Harrison story and why this has become a little bit of a thing. Well, Friday we were out here and we saw, and it started to become a little bit of a topic that, hey, Anton Harrison, not the first 2 days that I can remember, but on Friday slides over to left tackle a little bit. Well, it's like he hasn't left there since. And the Jags were kind of quiet on Friday. They're like, oh, it's just cross training. Now, I thought Liam Cohen's words on Monday, I think it was yesterday, Monday, were a little bit louder than that, where he said, hey, if it works out for us and it works out, that's great. So he didn't necessarily lean on the cross training as much. He acknowledged it, but he also said, hey, if it works out, hopefully it's a good thing for us. So it feels like he really opened the door with a comment like that. And obviously the unknown of Cole Van Lanen, to your point. So I think that's how we got here to this point, and just wanted to reset that for everyone. And so I asked this question of you, Austin. How much of this has to do with what you just said in Anton Harrison, and that's his natural position, good player? You mentioned yesterday, I like that. I think you did about the contract, and you gave a little chip and motivation. Can make a lot more money maybe on the left side. Maybe not a lot more, but still more money. And then how much does this have to do with what you have as a backup? How much is this about Walker Little and Edoga not maybe performing to the point where they want to see those guys perform? So is it more Anton Harrison and what he can do, or is it more about what Little and Edoga maybe can't do from that side?
Well, to me, it's two things. It's about what Anton Harrison can do, and I think there's some worry when Cole Van Lanen comes back. Those, to me, are the two big things, right? And listen, I'm going to always err on the side of Tony Baselli more than my expertise at the offensive line position, right? Tony is a Hall of Famer for a reason, right? So he knows what he's talking about. And he said it, right? Like, nowadays, right tackles are making money, left tackles are making money. Like, they almost mirror each other. But what you can't deny is the importance of a left tackle who can protect your quarterback's blind side, right? And I think that's where it comes with Anton Harrison. And once again, yes, it was one practice yesterday in pads, right? Talk to me in 2 or 3 weeks and let's see how it looks. But yesterday, you saw a natural feel from Anton Harrison in terms of his pass setting, in terms of the run blocking, like he looked at home there. And once again, we don't know the severity of Cole Van Lanen. We expect him to be back sometime, right? So when you bring that guy back with whatever knee injury that it is, right, would you feel more comfortable putting him on the right side where he's played in the past, not protecting the quarterback's blind side? Or would you feel more comfortable saying, well, all right, Anton, you're doing good in training camp and everything, but you go back to the right. Cole, you're going to protect Trevor's blind side, and we hope it works out. Like, to me, I'm going to err on the side of the former. I'm going to rely on Anton Harrison protecting the quarterback's blind side. And if it goes bad for Cole Van Lanen and, maybe he gives up some pressures, at least Trevor can see those pressures coming.
Yeah. I get it. I guess this is maybe an older way of thinking. This is what I like about this regime. You've got some young blood in there. You've got some new stuff. And it's not necessarily analytically driven, okay? It's just that, and we've talked about this a bunch, Austin, over the years, where you get guys and you try putting them in multiple spots. And I get the cross training, but when you don't focus on one position, do you actually take away from a guy that's just locked in and focused on his one position? Now, it worked fine for Cole Van Lanen. It doesn't mean it works well for Anton Harrison. So what I would like to see is just some kind of, I'd prefer a decision. I guess that's the old school me, where you just say, hey, go here, go focus on this, do this, be great at this, rather than splitting up your time you might go back here. And who knows how long they need to make that happen. It might just be like riding a bike for Anton Harrison anyway, because he's played there before. Same goes for Cole Van Lanen. Have an interception, by the way. Who is that? I think it's Eric Murray. Murray's had himself a nice camp so far, I think, in the first week of things. But so anyway, I think the conversation will continue. Here's the other part of this, Austin. We're going to get glimpses in joint practices against the Saints next Wednesday. And I think one practice against Carolina and then two against the Bucs. I don't feel like we're going to get a ton of information from the preseason games out of the starters. So I think a lot is going to rely on from what we can tell in maybe those four practices of how the Jaguars feel about their offensive line. They're always going to say they're going to play the best five. Well, this might be a true indication of it. And those four practices, I would think, would be pretty paramount about making their decision toward the regular season, as I just don't see these guys playing a bunch in the preseason games at all to determine anything.
No, without a doubt. I mean, those joint practices are going to mean everything, especially going against different types of guys too. If you're Anton Harrison playing left tackle, and like, listen, I understand your narrative, Brent, of well, he's on the right. Why did you change him back? Because we've seen this in the past. We've seen when you ask guys to do one thing and then you move them to another spot. Sometimes it doesn't work out that well. But I just want to remind everybody that when Anton Harrison was drafted, he was drafted as a left tackle. He was a left tackle coming out of college. I think he only played one game at right tackle. Everything else was left tackle out of Oklahoma. And the vision, I believe, was for him to play left tackle when he was drafted here. The only issue was that Cam Robinson held down that spot, and you can't justify drafting a guy that high in Anton Harrison and going, all right, well, you're going to be the heir apparent, but we're not going to play you at all, right? So they kind of had to put him at right tackle to justify where he was picked. Then, when Cam Robinson leaves and everything, he makes his home there. But, it's not to say the guy can't handle left tackle. He spent pretty much his entire college career playing left tackle. So, I'm supremely confident that he can pick it up in training camp, keep doing what he's doing, and by the time it's week 1 against Cleveland, once again, if Cole Van Lanen doesn't come back and take that spot back, I'm confident that Anton Harrison can handle that position.
Yeah, and maybe a more natural position. I'm not going to deep dive into this part right now, but just a note, because he is in his 4th year now, which kind of snuck up on me until you brought it up yesterday. And we talk all about Parker Washington's deal, guys. We saw this offseason. We had Cole Van Lanen, Buster Brown, Brenton Strange, Trayvon Walker. I think that was it in terms of the contracts, and all eyes on a Parker Washington potential extension. But the Jags do have 2 guys that have come up in the last week or so that they also might want to reconsider, or at least consider paying fairly soon. And that is maybe Anton Harrison. If they value him at 2 positions, that's a tough position to find. One of them, you figure he would play, and, well, it might be time to pay him as well, along with Van Lanen. And now you got your bookends for quite a long time. And then we mentioned Devon Hamilton last week in the whole Vita Vea stuff, that if you're not going to make that move, you're number 1 in the rush defense. He's really good. You like him. Do you now say, hey, at 29 years old, I believe, for Devon Hamilton, do you ink him to a deal? I mean, the Jags might have some work to do outside of Parker Washington, and wherever their belief system is, how do they feel about getting those guys fully to free agency? Do they sign them in the next month, or have they had conversations? I think probably start poking around on that a little bit more, because it's just not Parker Washington. Seems like these 2 players are very valued to the Jags, and both in a contract year might not want to let them hit free agency.
No, without a doubt, right? And once again, if we want to play it and we want to get in depth with the salary cap and everything and what you can talk about, okay, well, if Anton Harrison plays left tackle and he plays well at a Pro Bowl level, that's going to cost a lot more money, right? Then you're going to be able to afford Parker Washington if you don't pay. Like, we can go down that whole road right now. But, like, all I'm focused on is what you have at hand. And what you have at hand right now is if you put Anton Harrison at left tackle, that's extra motivation for him to try to bust his ass and have a great season. Like, we saw what motivation did last year from Liam Cohen and Anton Harrison, right? Because I don't think any other player was challenged last year more than Anton Harrison in training camp. Like, Liam Cohen called him up personally, said he's got to do better and everything. I think he answered the call. I think along that offensive line, and I get Cole Van Lanen stepped in, did his thing, but Anton Harrison might have been the most consistent thing all season on that offensive line. All right, very cool. So when we talk about, if he wants to play left tackle and everything, sure. Is it going to cost maybe more money? Yeah. Are you going to maybe have to franchise tag him or maybe have to look at different options going forward because it's going to be a lot of money tied to that left tackle position? Sure. But, like, all I'm concerned about right now, and maybe I'm sure this is what James Gladstone's concerned about really is, hey, can we have a guy that can keep Trevor upright all season? And if we can do that, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, right? Whether we franchise tag him, whether we throw, the bank at him, whatever the case may be. But, like, right now, I'm just focused on, hey, can Trevor Lawrence stay upright?
Real quick, Austin, if you're Anton Harrison, if you're in his shoes, do you absolutely want to play left tackle because they get paid more?
Yep.
But obviously there's a risk there. Obviously it's the whole bet on yourself thing, but he's comfortable at right tackle. He's proven that he can play right tackle at times like a pro bowler. You think he's absolutely wanting to play left?
Yes. I wholeheartedly think, and I also think that Cole Van Lanen wants to play right, honestly. And when we look at Anton Harrison, like, listen, I understand you get paid wherever you play. What did Cam Robinson make going to Minnesota?
Oh, gosh, what was that deal?
I don't know if he did get it. Did he re-up with them after he got traded?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure he ever re-upped. Maybe it was a one-year deal, Austin, but it was kind of like on the end of the Jags deal. I'm not sure he ended up re-upping or not.
Okay.
I know Jawan he signed a $1 million.
Was a good example.
Yeah, Jawan Taylor signed a decent deal.
But was Jawan Taylor left or right?
Right.
Well, he was right here, but he moved. No, he moved. They wanted him.
Oh,
to
they
move
moved him to left. Yeah. Okay. So then what was the?
Went back and forth.
So what was Jawan Taylor's contract?
That was $20 million a year. We were stunned.
Yeah, it was. Golly, where's it at? 4 years, $80 million. 4 years, $80 million.
Okay, so we're talking 20, and then whatever the signing bonus, all that stuff. All right, so $20 million a year for a guy, like, let's be honest, like, he was fine, but there was a reason why the Jaguars, like, I don't think we're really that worried about losing him.
Sure.
Right? And we're saying, all right, well, go look in Kansas City. So if he's making, and this is a couple years ago, you're making that. I mean, if Anton Harrison can come out there, and I think you're going to be in a high-powered offense where you might be a Pro Bowler because, once again, I know it's a popularity contest, but, like, every little accolade matters in negotiating a contract. If you make a Pro Bowl and everything, he's going to get the bank, and I think he understands that. So, to answer your question, Amby, I think Anton Harrison wants to play left tackle because that, and once again, both sides are important.
Sure.
But it's the quarterback's blind side.
Yeah. Hey, listen, guys, this dude's only 24 years old, too. 24 years old, and he just turned that in February. He's a young guy. We've been talking about this for a long time. I've been a big fan of Anton Harrison, and I know he needed a little bit of a spark last year by Cohen, and he answered the bell. I think he's a really talented player. I thought he did some nice things immediately in the league, even as a very young player. That was part of it. I think he was like hardly 21 years old when he was playing for the Jags that rookie season. I mean, that is Jags should feel really good, but they've got to find ways to keep all these guys, and I think there are ways. I mean, heck, you mentioned the franchise tag. Maybe that's what they do with a Devon Hamilton, right? Maybe you could franchise tag him, although that position is probably insanely priced now too. So whatever, we'll let them figure out the finances. My point's only they've got more guys than just Parker Washington to take care of potentially if they want to keep as this core, or they've got some tough decisions to make to let guys go. and redraft and hopefully hit on the draft. And maybe that's an Albert Regis move, right? Is that the long-term move? Devon Hamilton, all right, we're going to let him walk. We don't want to, but we just can't afford it right now in the current construct of our team and roster. But we hope an Albert Regis comes in here, grows, and is ready to take over that spot. I mean, that's the name of the game as well. You can't sign everybody to $20 million a year contracts or $15 million a year contracts.
Guys, just to put a bow on the Anton Harrison conversation, he is 5 months younger than Emmanuel Pregnon. 5 months younger.
Crazy.
So all the more reason to why you would want to, if there's any doubt, want to sign him to a new deal, because he's probably still not had his prime yet. I mean, if we're drafting dudes who are 24 years old, we don't expect them to be in their prime. So why should we expect Anton Harrison to have reached his prime? Obviously, he's got 3 more years of NFL reps, but why would they not believe that his best ball is in front of him? He's so young that go ahead and sign him to. I mean, he's got 2 more contracts in him.
Yeah,
maybe not in Jacksonville, but he's definitely got 2 more contracts in his NFL career. At least one of those should be in Jacksonville.
Yeah, listen, and once again, I think there's a reason why last year Liam Cohen called out Anton Harrison. I think there's a reason why we're starting to see Anton Harrison maybe play a little more left tackle, right? Like, think about where Liam Cohen comes from. Think about what he had in Tampa Bay. He had a guy in Tristan Wirfs who's regarded as one of the best offensive tackles in all of football. And he understands what a great offensive tackle can not only do for your offense, but also most importantly, do to keep your quarterback upright, right? So Liam Cohen's aware of this. Like, I understand we're getting all bogged down with Parker Washington and the wide receivers, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter's having a great day. What's going to happen with the running back group? Make no mistake about it. There still has to be a priority and a premium at the tackles and the guard positions, because if you want to make this thing truly work, you need offensive linemen to do that. So that's why I think we're seeing this whole thing kind of take part here. We're seeing Anton Harrison play left tackle. Like, it's that important. Like, more important than running the football, more important than paying Parker Washington is making sure that Trevor Lawrence stays healthy the entire season. Or guess what?
Yeah.
It's going to be all for nothing, right? So if that's the conversation that we're having, and there's that much of a premium to try to get the best out of Anton Harrison, well, then it makes all the sense in the world why maybe we're seeing this right now.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Good stuff, guys. I think, boy, 5 months younger than Emmanuel Pregnon. That is insane. I'm trying to digest that. And that is, he's played 3 years. He's played like 50 games in the NFL. And he's 5 months younger than Pregnon, who was just drafted, which also goes to show you a guy like Anton Harrison in today's college football landscape might not have been drafted.
Yeah.
This past draft. I mean, might, because of the money being made in college and everything else. But it is pretty fascinating and spot on. You got to take care of Trevor Lawrence, man. That's the name of the game.
And once again, and to kind of echo what Daniel Kilkenny is saying, I said this yesterday a little bit, of course he wants to play left tackle because the contract's there. Absolutely. Well, then let's think about Cole Van Lanen. Just got paid, right? So, like, there's really no pressure on you to play one side or the other. So maybe you play the side that maybe you're a little more comfortable on, and that's the right tackle. Like, listen, I don't know personally what Cole Van Lanen wants to do. I assume he wants to play on the right side, but I know for sure Anton Harrison wants to on the left side. Like, that's obvious as the day is long.
We did this yesterday. $17 million a year right now for Cole Van Lanen, which is a pretty reasonable deal if that's one of your guys on the offensive line, especially the way the money is today. And that would put him, I think I said, around 17th or 18th in the NFL at left tackle, but it puts him at about 8th or 9th, I believe, at right tackle. So the Jags actually, from a financial standpoint, are getting a hell of a deal if they like Cole Van Lanen at left tackle compared to the rest of the NFL. And they're not asking him to play like an elite top 3 guy in the National Football League where Laramie Tunsil's getting paid $30 million a year. So on the right side, again, you're beefing that up. You're saying, hey, we want you to, knock on the door of a Pro Bowl as an 8th or 9th highest paid right tackle. The guy leading the way there, of course, is Tristan Wirfs at like $28 million. So it does change kind of the way you view, I think, a player and what they're getting paid and the value and what you expect out of them, depending on, I think, where Cole Van Lanen sits, Austin.
No, without a doubt. I mean, it's everything, right? And maybe we should have spent a little more time focusing on this, right? Like, we always get bogged down with the fantasy football stuff and the wide receivers, man. But like, this is maybe a storyline that maybe we should have put a little more time into, in the preseason or, before the camp even started, because I guess we all expected Cole Van Lanen to be back right away, and by all indications, we have no idea yet.
Yeah, hey, they're wrapping up practice. I'm going to wrap up this segment and go. I forget who said it in the chat. They said off topic, if Liam Cohen wins the Super Bowl, which, by the way, is not off topic. Super Bowl expectations, let's go. That's definitely not off topic. Now, he did say, would we adopt the Duval that he displayed early on as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars? I don't think so. I don't think that's changing, but he can laugh all his way through a parade if that happens. That's for sure.
No, I mean, but I think it's the quintessential story of Liam Cohen, and I think like that's just as important as anything else is. Like I hope they do bring it back, right? Because you have a guy who he says that he tries to fit in, and maybe he wasn't comfortable doing it. Obviously, he got grilled and lambasted on social media and everything, and that gave him a little more ammunition, I feel like. And now look at him, right? Like everyone grows, man. And I think people like the underdog story. I think people like the self-growth story, if you will. And honestly, from year 1 to year 2, has any coach that you've seen, and I get we wear teal-colored glasses, so it's hard to tell on the National Football League, but I don't think any coach has grown more from year 1 to year 2 than Liam Cohen. You went from Duval to check out my Louis Vuitton bomber jacket. Check out me trying to fight Robert Saleh on the sidelines. Check out me going through my cell phone saying no one's respecting us, and that's dropping on the airwaves. What's the story in Titans camp? Soybean oil or whatever in their food? Sick. Cool. Breaking the internet with cutting out seed oils. Great. Ain't gonna get Cam Ward 30 touchdowns, but I hope it works.
It's called character development.
There we go.
It's been quite a character development for Liam Cohen here in Jacksonville.